Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, is taking a stand. They can already take legal action if dealerships violate the federal prohibition on unfair or deceptive practices or acts. But the government's path to catching violators or violations becomes easier if a behavior is specifically defined as legal in a regulation. The title of this article is Why the FTC is Doing This Now. In the wake of the Federal Trade Commission's proposal of new sweeping regulations on car dealership price advertising, hello, and F&I product disclosure, hello, a client of Hudson Cook partner Gene Noonan asked her, wasn't all this already illegal? Of course it was. But they did it anyway because they got away with it. Now, the FTC wants to jump on them. Yes and no, said Noonan and other compliance experts who explored the rationale and timing of the draft regulations in interviews with the Automotive News, our Holy Bible. The FTC already can take action if dealerships violate federal prohibition or unfair deceptive acts or practices, according to Shannon Robertson, Executive Director of the Association of Finance and Insurance Professionals. They left off, there's another descriptor. Professionals, like Pancho Villa. But this entails the agency going, or Alibaba, entails the agency going to a court and providing or proving the behavior was indeed fair or deceptive, he said. There's an entire process there, Robertson said. But if a particular behavior is specifically defined as illegal by itself in a regulation, it's easier for the government to make their case, and make their case they will. If you stick it to some people, or they were basing interest rates for F&I on the color of your skin, your nationality, or your gender, this is crap, and it's got to stop, and that's what this is all about. And the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, is all over these guys. Well, the NADA, National Auto Dealers Association, responded this way. NADA National Automobile Dealers Association CEO Mike Stanton on Thursday blasted a series of proposed Federal Trade Commission regulations on retailer advertising and F&I, finance and insurance, as completely unwarranted, redundant, and ineffectual requirements. That sounds like a Perry Mason movie. He said it would raise prices and yield inefficiency and complexity at a time when the entire auto industry is united behind an effort to simplify and streamline vehicle sales and pricing policies, to shorten transaction times and improve the customer experience. Well, that is a crockpot. The Federal Trade Commission proposes banning finance and insurance coverage and physical vehicle add-ons that provide no benefit, quote, no benefit, and requiring expanded disclosure and consent on such optional products, including a list of prices online, like how bad are you going to hose me on this F&I, the financing and insurance. Because I'm a big fat white guy. My insurance rate, my financing rate is 3.5%. But you're a skinny black person, you pay 4.5%. What's up with that? That's not right. But that's this is what they're trying to abolish. It also is considering requiring dealerships to produce a true offering price. There you go. For any specific vehicle they promote. And effectively the out-the-door price. I love that phrase. The dealership would charge to purchase the vehicle, not counting any government taxes and fees. Out the door, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Dealerships also are prohibited from misleading customers on whether the terms they advertise online are for a lease or include rebates not available to all, or involve a vehicle that isn't available. In other words, some cars, they'll tell you, the dealerships will advertise in the Sunday paper, we have rebates. And that's on one car, not on the whole line. So you want to go in and buy this, oh yeah, there's no rebates open on that one. You can't have that one. They love to do that crap. And I'm telling you, it's just not fair to buy a car that way. Now, with the dealerships are saying that we're trying to streamline the way of doing business. In other words, they're going to do it all online, so you're not going to actually talk to anybody. You're really going to get hosed. You're not going to have a clue as to what you're paying for interest or for insurance and financing. You don't know what you're going to pay for insurance either. They're going to nail it to you. And these guys, these people that specialize in F&I, this whole thing started off as a great idea for a dealership to have a finance and insurance guy right there in the dealership when they were completely 100% nice guys. Now, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to tell you that I go through the bank and I have an insurance man, so I don't do anything at the dealer because that's usually not the right percentage point. And I got the luxury of being a old fat white guy. You know, I don't have the discrepancy of not being what. Yeah. Anyway, we won't dwell on that. That's just not right. And in this day and age, for God's sakes, this is 2022, and you're still taking advantage of people because of other things. Not right. All right, that rant is over. Keep the chill pills ready. Wholesale used vehicle prices have fallen in June, with smaller increases forecast coming up. Of course there are. Cox Automotive said Friday that its Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index, which tracks vehicles sold at Manheim's U.S. auto auctions, fell 1.3% in June compared with May. The first half of 2022 was marked by cooling prices. Well, save for May. May was the one month in which the index went up slightly. Wholesale prices remained at 9.7% higher in June than they were the year earlier. Of course, they've been skyrocketing. These numbers are adjusted for mixed mileage and seasonality. Seasonality? I challenge that word. On a non-adjusted basis, the index fell 1.8% in June from its May level, with prices up 11% year over the other last year. So in other words, they're still hosing you, but they're starting to come down. They're actually coming to reality, and this might be coming to a fruition, okay? And then again, it might not. But when I come back, we're going to talk about the chip shortage and the chip glut. How can you have a shortage and a glut? You know what a glut is? That's a word. You look it up at that break. That is a word. Mm-hmm. In other words, a chip shortage means you don't have enough, and a chip glut means somebody has too many. And that's what's coming up. We're going to talk about this. 928 Car Guys. If you got the nerve, call up and tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to tell you how to think. I would never do that. Okay? I'm going to tell you the facts. You take it from there. This is the way the newspapers and that used to do business. I'm going to tell you the facts, then you decide from there. I'm not going to try and steer you any other way. But I got to tell you, I know how I believe. Chip shortage question mark. Some industries now have too many. I wouldn't know that by the amount of cars on the used car lots and the new car lots. It's getting complicated for investors in semiconductor stocks. The last year's big chip shortage morphing into an inventory glut. There's that word again, Eric. For some companies, and others getting caught up in geopolitics. The COVID-19 pandemic, I'm tired of that getting blamed for everything, spurred an unprecedented supply crunch down semiconductor factories while also fueling demand for consumer electronics. Well, and I understand how that happens because a lot of people had to stay home. Now, some chip makers are warning of cooling demand for parts used in PCs and smartphones, while automakers continue wrestling with a shortfall. I contend that they're not wrestling with it. Another fly in the ointment is renewed tensions between the U.S. and China over the Asian market nation's burgeoning semiconductor industry. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not going to, I got to go a little further. I will. Consumer electronics look most vulnerable to an oversupply issue, with Micron Technology Inc. cautioning this week of slowing demand for memory chips used in computers and smartphones. The company will cut spending on new plants and equipment to slow the output. We don't slow no output, just keep making chips for the car business. Chip production used in premium and mid-tier 5G devices has also outstripped demand, according to Counterpoint Research. Most of these smartphone chipsets, like application processors, system-on-chip chipsets, and basebands, are made by Qualcomm Inc., Apple Inc., MediaTek Inc., and Samsung. You know how Sam used to like to sing, huh? Samsung. The bulk of chips used in car production come from NXP Semiconductors, NV, Infineon Technologies, Renesas Electronics Corp., Texas Instruments, and ST Microelectronics. So, originally we were told that the chip shortage in the car business was a result of the car companies not ordering enough chips, pre-ordering enough chips, because they thought their sales were going to go down. They didn't think they were going to need them. And then all of a sudden the pandemic, when it hit, or it already had hit, people were starting to have to stay home. They all needed phones and computers and stuff. Now it turns out they're not made by the same people. Hello? They're not made by the same people. Didn't you just hear what I said? The 5G electronics are made by this group, and the automotive chips are made by this group. They're not made by the same people. Okay, so we've established that. So the actual semiconductors that were needed for handheld devices, phones, Facebook, laptops, you name it, whatever, games, should have been no problem and had nothing to do with the car shortage. Why? I'm not going to tell you why. Because it would be my opinion, and I don't offer opinions here. Just facts. You just got one. You just got one that's a little stinky. We got a phone call? Let's talk on the car phone. Let's see who's there. Just facts. You
Hello?
just got hello, one. Fact. Hello, car phone. It's a little stinky. Hello, car phone. Are you there? They hang up?
I guess so.
Oh, well. Get the right one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, then, hey, he'll call back. He or she will call back eventually. It's not a problem. We get a lot of girls calling this show. That's mostly what we used to get all the time. And I love talking cars with girls because they will listen. A potential breakthrough for production of a superior battery is coming. Before we go on to superior batteries, I have to reiterate what I just told you. Chips used production in 5G devices are made by Qualcomm, Apple, Media, and Samsung. The bulk of the chips used in car production come from NXP Semiconductors, Infineon Technologies, Renesas Electronics, Texas Instruments, and ST Microelectronics. I'll be darned. And they really couldn't keep up with the chips. We really had to have all these lack of cars and these super high prices. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 over the sticker. Well, if you didn't think that was going to be a problem, and you didn't know any better, You would think, what's with the chips? Well, since the chip thing is being talked about, and everybody's getting an idea what's going on with the chips. In other words, the chips are down, or maybe they're up. Are the chips up or down? Who knows? Guess what now? Guess what? Just when you thought it was safe to go ahead and start thinking about a new car because the prices are going to come back to reality, West Coast port labor talks could further squeeze autos. Are you ready for this? This is the newest little device. North America's auto industry is already weary from 2 years of supply chain troubles and pipeline interruptions on parts and vehicles. But things could now get a bit worse. Yeah, right. The labor contract between the Pacific Maritime Association and the International Longshore and Warehouse Union expired July 1st. Hello. And that could squeeze inbound inventories even tighter. The contract covers 22,000 workers at 29 West Coast ports that stretch from San Diego to Bellingham, Washington. Negotiations are underway, and the ports, already under enormous pressure, to produce cargo amid COVID-19, are still operating, but the union is working without a contract. Oh my God. Do you think possibly we're going to have another shortage and it's going to keep the prices up high? You think that might happen, Eric? Oh my goodness. I'm so naive. The association and union issued a joint statement ahead of the contract's expiration, assuring onlookers that the ports would remain operational and that they both understand the strategic importance of the ports to the local, regional, and U.S. economies, and are mindful of the need to finalize a new West Coast-wide contract as soon as possible to ensure continuing confidence in the West Coast. The longer the talks continue, the more potential there could be for a slowdown, said Charles Klein, Detroit station manager for freight forwarding company OEC Group. A worker slowdown is a tactic used by employees to reduce productivity while still performing their duties. A slowdown for even a week and a half could have impact down the line. Here we go, Klein said, especially on top of thousands of containers that are already delayed in LA and Long Beach because of the record number of goods shipped 3 months ago that are now just now moving through the system. I wonder why it took that long to move now through the system. I wonder if there's any chips in there, in those boxes. Well, now it's going to be parts. You're going to be short of parts because there might be a disruption at the docks.
Really?
Yeah, well, the chip shortage is wearing off.
Yeah, it is.
So they got to have something new. I didn't say that, did I? Something new's got to happen. It's just the way things work around this world.
Something like that.
It is what it is. I mean, I know it, you know it.
Don't you just hate that saying? It is what it is.
I do hate that
We just
saying.
got to deal with it like it's nothing.
I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not.